Zen sickness or emptiness sickness, in which they describe that some people within Zen, for example, if they're meditating a lot, they can experience this Zen sickness where they become depersonalized and they feel like everything has become a dream. And I thought, oh, this is actually what I'm experiencing. Zen sickness. Something is not complete here. Something is a little off. I got to figure out how to cure myself of Zen sickness. And so from there, I said, okay, this must not be the final stage. Clearly, this is a documented experience. And so I thought, I had a Buddhism teacher in a university course, not a spiritual teacher, a professor, I should say, professor. And so I thought, well, maybe they'll have some answers for me. So I approached them and said, hey, I'm experiencing Zen sickness. And I remember talking to them, feeling completely out of my body. And she said, that's interesting, but honestly, I can't help you. I don't know much about this.
Had she heard about it at all?
From what I could tell, she hadn't heard about Zen sickness, and she wasn't a practiced meditator. I think she had a more of an interest in the cultural implications of Buddhism, the ethical and cultural implications, and that was her focus. But when it came to the direct experience of the individual who's practicing these spiritual traditions, meditation, she admitted, I can't help you. I don't practice this.
Could I ask you, Brent, how this made you feel? And this, it seems important to ask, like when you opened up to her about this thing, like, hey, I'm going through this, like, insane thing that you're probably barely able to put words around, and you just assume like she could probably help me. She knows about this stuff. I've heard her mention Zen before, whatever. And then when she was like, I don't know about it, how did that make you feel? Did that send you backwards at all, or?
Yeah, it was horrifying. It was quite literally horrifying, because within Zen sickness, within what I was experiencing, I felt like everything was a dream. I felt like nothing was real, nothing was true. And so when I read about Zen sickness, I thought, okay, so maybe I'm not actually alone in this dream, and there are actual people out there that can help me get back to feeling real again. And so when I approached her and she gave me this response, I can't help you, Brent, it further validated my mindset or my perspective or what had happened to me, in that I felt, wow, I am alone. And she is like a character in my dream. That's what a character would say. If you're in a dream and you try to say, hey, buddy, we're dreaming, they'd say, no, we're not. Or even if you said, hey, can you help me get out of this dream? They say, what do you mean? Where do you want to go? Right? They won't have anything for you, right? Yeah. What dream? What do you mean? And so it was like, okay, she's saying I can't help you. And I could tell she felt a little embarrassed, because here she is, professor of Buddhism, unequipped to help me. And so out of her, I think her embarrassment, I think she tried to save a little bit of face by saying, I just moved here from Chicago. If we were back in Chicago, I would have maybe recommended, like a Zen teacher, but I don't know anybody here. And so I said, okay, why don't I figure out where the closest Zen place is? And they can help me. There's like a Zen monastery or something. There's got to be something. I was in Toronto. And so I found a Zen center, and I thought, okay, I'll make my way over there. So it was a long bus ride. I remember being on the bus, looking around at everyone's face and just thinking, they have no idea what I'm going through. Like, they have no idea what just happened to my mind. My mind was quite literally blown apart. My entire perception of the world has been shattered, and these people are just, going about their day. And I remember sitting there. It was a very interesting contrast. Eventually I found myself to the Zen center, and I walk up to the door. I knock on the door. It's like this old sort of estate house type thing. Man opens the door, and I say, hey, look, man, I think I'm going through Zen sickness. I need help. I don't know what's wrong. But I know that something is wrong. And he says, oh, the teacher's not here. And to be honest, they don't really help people off the street. And I thought, oh my God, another, dead end. And And he says, give me a second. And he comes back, he gives me a paper, and it's like a mental health crisis hotline. So it's call these people, they'll help you. And I remember looking at this and thinking, man, this is spiritual. This is a spiritual crisis or emergency that I'm going through. I don't think I had those words yet, but I knew that this wasn't solely mental illness. This was spiritual in nature because it coincided so closely with what I had read as descriptions of these awakenings and experiences of Satori and ego death and no self. It was consistent with those experiences. And so I knew if I call these people, they may not, they may be even less equipped than my Buddhist teacher, or less equipped than even this guy who was maybe practicing Zen. I don't know if he was a teacher or not, but even he couldn't even give me any word of advice. I don't know what somebody on a mental health crisis is going to say to me when I say, hey, I feel like, I'm a dream. My mind has been blasted open. I don't have an ego, or I've seen through my ego. What are they supposed to say to me? Right. And so I thought, this is spiritual in nature. And I took stock. I said, well, somehow I came across that term Zen sickness. Something is orchestrating this unfolding. And I tuned in and I felt the Tao, the flow of the Tao, the flow of life. And I said, that is taking care of me. It's directing me further on my journey. I just need to acknowledge that I haven't yet landed and arrived. A significant shift has taken place, but I need to keep going and following whatever is supported me thus far, because I thought it was a great gift to even have come to realize what Zen sickness was. I forgot to mention it, but in my university course, the Buddhism course, I didn't do any of the readings. I was so busy with trying to become enlightened. But for some reason, during this Zen sickness experience, when my head was blasted open, at some point, I just grabbed the book, the textbook, opened it to a random page, and there was Zen sickness, emptiness sickness. And there was a description. And that's when I recognized what was going on. And so I thought, well, something inspired me to open the book. Clearly, that was the flow, the Tao, my intuition. Some intelligence is orchestrating my unfolding. I can trust that intelligence. I can surrender. It was not easy. I was like, what else do I got? I mean, people can't help me. I went to the Zen center. They can't help me. What am I supposed to do but trust? And so I put all my faith in this intelligence that was, that seemed to be holding me and coaxing me to keep going. And with that surrender, I had to let go of this belief that, I had reached full enlightenment, and be humble enough to continue forward on the journey.
Wow. Okay. Wow. That's so incredible. I mean, I think many would probably relate to, you picking up this book and you turn to the page and suddenly it's kind of speaking about what you're talking about. I've had conversations on the podcast and with friends who have had the experience of going to the library and like a book fell off the shelf and that's the book that they needed to buy or check out, so interesting. Wow. I mean, yeah. So I felt it important to ask how you felt in that moment when you kind of like, okay, there's clearly this thing going on with me. Someone's going to help me. I'm going to go to them and I'm going to tell them what's going on. And she's like, man, I don't know. I haven't experienced that. I don't know. Because for my journey, it was also, I think that I had a lot of the similar thing of, I would have moments where I'm kind of explaining these things to people or I'm talking about them. And I'm rambling on about, I'm having this and I'm having depersonalization. I'm using these words that not only they don't know, but then I kind of like get present with the moment and with this person, whether it's been like a friend or just someone I've met. And I realize they don't know what the heck I'm talking about. And then it's like this, oh no, yeah, you really are alone. That snapping out a reminder that, this is in a sense, a dream world, and it's not to, negate the teachers or friends who are there. Like they just simply don't know. They love us and they want us to feel okay too. But they don't know what you're talking about. Like if you haven't experienced it to like hear these things, it's just so far removed from our everyday waking life that it's very difficult to understand, yeah, I think, so, okay. So how would you say that I mean, it seems like you kind of fell back on your path of, okay, I have to find the answers for what this is. Like, I have to find what's true to me. So you're going through this. You have what you would consider Zen sickness. You're having a Kundalini awakening. I'm not sure if at this time if you knew that if you would consider it that, or you had that terminology. No. So how did you begin to stabilize yourself after all of this? You know, what started making things more normal? Because what I noticed, something that's wonderful to point out, is it's not like you just tried to forget about all of it and tried to go back to your everyday, 9 to 5 sort of picket fence life. You were able to integrate this. You were able to keep this wonderful information, but also become more grounded, and I'm sure that your everyday waking life, talking with people who are unawakened, is a completely normal part of your experience now. It's because I think that when we're going through these things, we're like, I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to talk to a normal person again. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to, I can't go back to a job. This is so far fetched, but I mean, it seems that you have integrated these things and stabilized yourself. So what was the next step on your journey, Brent, of, I guess, integrating all of this? Because it seems like you've done so well. It seems like now you're able to take the things that you've experienced, and, you're a spiritual teacher now, and you're helping a lot of people who stumble across your videos. So, I mean, what was that jump like? How did you get to where, kind of where you are now, so to say?